Good morning. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Good morning, everybody. Barbara Richardson, good to see you this morning. Welcome, everyone, to today's Wednesday's devotion. Dana Krieshock, good morning to you. Alyssa Tucker, good morning. And to Graham and Chase, if you happen to be watching as well. There's my mom. Good morning to you. Let's see who else joins us this morning. Names are trickling in kind of slow. Jeremy and Wendy, good morning. I was waiting for your name to actually pop up because today is Jeremy's birthday. Jeremy Chadwick, 50 years old. We're emphasizing old today. 50 is just old. Mike and Kim, good morning to you. So yeah, Jeremy, I hope you have a great day and do some fun things today. I know you have some ideas, things planned. I hope that you enjoy them. Janisa, good morning to you today. I'm in Psalm 95 today. Psalm 95. I'm going to read. There's 4 verses in particular out of this psalm that I wanted to read and reflect on this morning, or at least that I read and reflected on this morning, and in turn passing on to you. So the first 5 verses of Psalm 95 has to do with God being the creator of all things, and that He should be praised as a result. You know, He's this amazing, powerful, the source of all things, God, you know. So He's worthy of praise. He's made everything. But when it shifts to verse 6, there is a shift into, He isn't just the God who created all things. He is, the pronouns shift to a personal possessive. He's our God, right? So look at verse 6. O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord, our Maker. For He is our God, and we are the people of His pasture, the sheep of His hand. And, so the first 5 verses, if you're reflecting on this psalm, and you should go back and read the entire psalm, but it's like, man, what an amazing God. It's like this objective, someone from a distance looking at who God is, and yeah, He's worthy of praise. Look what He's done. I mean, you look around, and this guy is all-knowing, all-powerful, and created all things. Well, wait. My own existence is due Him. He is my Maker, and all of a sudden, this relational idea, He is our God. Using personal pronouns. He's mine. And, what jumped into my mind when I was reflecting on this, and this is why I entitled today's devotion, Team God, is because, we talk about personal possessive pronouns, like, that's my God, like I possess God. No, that's not right. But it's in terms like, I think of sports teams. So I don't possess my favorite sports team, but I definitely refer to my sports team, right? This is us, we drafted so-and-so, we got a great pick. We won this last weekend. I didn't play on the team, right? But, because we're loyal fans, we're like, yeah, this is us. We're a part of something bigger, and we like that idea. And though I know this analogy kind of breaks down a little bit with my relationship with God, it's what made me think. It's how I thought about it this morning, and how we have this winning team, right? We have this winning, amazing, every year undefeated world champion God, and like, yep, got my team jersey on, I'm representing. That's my God, Team God, yeah, and we have this sense, but when you personalize it, there's that big sense of who God is, but then you get down to the fact that God is not just my maker, but he's my shepherd. I love that idea, because when you start picturing in the shepherd imagery in the Bible is very rich. So obviously the Israel either were a farmer or you were a shepherd, in their most basic realms, right? Before people started living in cities and taking up other crafts and things like that. It was, either you raised sheep and goats, or you farmed, and those two worked together. So I sold you my meat and milk and wool, and you in exchange for your vegetables and all those things. So we worked together, and so this imagery of the shepherd and the sheep becomes very rich in both the Old Testament and the New Testaments. One of our favorite Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want for anything. He leads me into green pastures, beside still waters, and all of those things. So in this psalm too, Psalm 95, the psalmist draws upon that image. In the New Testament, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. And so the idea here is that God cares for every part of our life. He makes sure that we are safe, especially at night, from predators. He makes sure that we have all the food we need, that we are able to drink from water that's a good water source, that's not swift running water that if I get too close I could fall in and be swept away and drown. I mean, he's watching out for everything in my life. This is God's attentive, relational, overshadowing relationship that we get to enjoy with him as our shepherd. We are, the psalmist says, we are the people of his pasture, the sheep of his hand. And so he's always near, and so on. Another aspect of shepherding is how they shepherded in the ancient Near East was they didn't use dogs and drive them with sticks. They just called out. They had a particular call that the sheep knew, and so like you had 5 shepherds and 5 flocks, and they all came together at night in a common pen to protect them from the wild animals or thieves. And at the next day, they have to call their particular sheep out of the pen, out of all these diverse herds. And so the shepherd would whistle or have a particular call, and those sheep knew that shepherd's voice. And so when he walked away making this call, all those sheep followed him out of the pen. And the other sheep who didn't recognize that call knew that, I'm not going to go to that shepherd. That's not my shepherd's call. And so Jesus draws also from this imagery when he says in John that my sheep know my voice, and they come when I call them. And this is this idea of intimacy and these rich relational terms. But in Psalm 95, it also serves as a warning, because God is so big, he's so powerful, and he has this amazing, intimate relationship with us. He's our shepherd. We are the sheep of his hand. He's taking care of everything we need, and he calls out to us. We as his sheep have to be able to respond when he calls. When we know his voice, we go the direction that he wants us to go. However, that's not always the case in our life, unfortunately, and it wasn't the case of Israel's life. So Psalm 95 is also a warning. He says, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as at Meribah, as on the day at Massah in the wilderness, when your fathers put me to the test and put me to the proof, though they had seen my work. And so Massah and Meribah are two different circumstances in Israel's history prior to them getting to the Promised Land. It's after Egypt. They're in the wilderness. They're heading to the Promised Land. God allows them to be in circumstances that are a little uncomfortable. They run out of water. And he is putting them in these places so that they learn to trust him. And so they get in this spot and they're like, man, we don't have anything to drink. And their immediate response is, God, You drew us out. Well, they say it to Moses. Moses, you drew us out here to die. That's the whole reason you let us out of Egypt, is just to have us die in the wilderness. I mean, they were a bunch of complainers for sure. And then they go to blame God. They say, God, are you for us or not? So they test the Lord. And the psalmist is reminding them, don't be like, sorry, I have to remove a notification. Don't be like that generation who tested God continually, asking, are you for us or not? He says, while they could see all the works that I did on their behalf. Remember, this is the same generation who lived in Egypt, and God delivered them miraculously through all the plagues. This is the same generation who went through the Red Sea, and then the Egyptian army who tried to follow were drowned. This is the same generation who saw Moses go up on Mount Sinai and receive the law, and saw, the thunder and the fire descend from heaven and clouds surround them. And they said, hey, they had to retreat because it was so fearful. This is the same generation that every single day they could see the presence of God in a cloud, and every night they could see the presence of God by a pillar of fire. This is the same generation who day after day would be fed by God with manna. Think about all that. This is the generation that's happening. And he says, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts when things got a little rough, like that generation, who put me to the test, though they had seen my work, though they had seen and experienced all those things. They said, well, God, are you for us or not? Really? But that's how we are as sheep, right? Sheep do this. Some of you know Pat Reese. She used to keep sheep, and she's a member of Grace and recently moved to Washington. And she would often complain. I'd ask her about her sheep, and she had names for all of her sheep. She cared for them. But at night, when she'd want to put them in their pen, sometimes they would resist and said, they would like, nope, we're not coming. We don't want to go in the pen. We don't like the pen. I'm making up thoughts in their mind. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to go into the pen. And Pat would always joke, saying, oh, you sheep, you forget that you're sheep. You really, what you think you are is lion food. That's what you'd prefer to be tonight. If you don't go into the pen, you are saying, I prefer to be lion food. Sheep don't always know what is best for them. The shepherd knows what's best for them. And so but we resist because we're like, well, I don't like the pen. I don't like to go. I don't want to go where you're leading me. I'd rather be out here. It's like, well, the shepherd's saying, if you stay out here, you're lion food. And so Pat would have to call Jeff Hansen, who lived nearby, and Jeff would come in and help wrangle these sheep back into the pen so they would be safe for the night. I mean, it was for their good, but we're not unlike sheep in that way. We're not unlike that ancient generation of Israel in that same way. And though we see the works of God and we feel his blessing, when things get a little rough in life, our hearts can tend to question the goodness of God. Are you really for me? Here, I'm experiencing things that I don't prefer. I don't want to go the direction you want me to go. And God's saying, I am good. I created all things. I am your shepherd. You're the sheep of my hand. Hey, what about Team God? You were saying that yesterday when things were going good, but now things are challenging. You're going, man, God, are you really for me? And so the psalmist is saying, make sure that we are balancing our life with understanding who God is, that he is our God, Team God, right? And God is our shepherd. He is calling us out. And when we do hear his voice, and sometimes his voice leading us into an area like, I'm not sure I want to go that direction, we can trust him as the shepherd, that he intends good for us. And that good sometimes is going through a difficult time that will test and approve our own faith, our ability to trust him. And God knows these things about us, and He is growing us and developing the necessary maturity and character in us, and we just have to follow. And sometimes that means we're going to be uncomfortable and go through some difficult things, and sometimes that means we're just going to be experiencing the championship, right, with God and all the good things that we associate with positive experiences as a relationship to God. But God is the same either way. He loves us. He's our shepherd. He's our maker. He is our God, and He intends good for us all the time. Let us trust Him today, no matter what the path is before you. So that's my thought for today. We got one more day this week. We'll see you tomorrow morning for another thought from the Psalms. God bless you today.